When dealing with financial innovations like fintech or blockchain-based crypto balances, an important question emerges: how to regulate those who don't want to be regulated? How much force should the regulators apply to achieve their goals, but not too much force so not to break everything in the process? The financial industry, especially everything related to money and banking, has a long tradition of strict and ultimately costly regulation. It began when the ancient rulers decided to put their faces on gold pieces to make them coins and thus guarantee their value. Obviously, this gave the rulers power to manipulate the value, but as long as people trusted the ruler's stamp, the system worked. The key word here is trust. Financial industry is highly dependent on trust, and when that trust is broken, not only damages the entire financial industry, but it has repercussions far beyond. Just think of what happened in the great financial economic crisis of 2007 to 2012. However, since compliance to these strict regulations is expensive, there's always a way to make money by circumventing the regulations to the point where you get an advantage, but still comply with the rules just enough to fly below the radar. And this is the main advantage of neobanks and other fintechs. But cryptocurrencies, in them, this goes far beyond that. It is true that much of the crypto community argues that they want to be regulated and thus legal. But what they really mean is that they want some sort of border control so that everything is clean and legal when moving from the crypto world to the real economy. But in reality, the crypto world is a little bit like Las Vegas. Everything that happens in crypto stays in crypto, underscoring privacy and anonymity of everyone. This has a lot to do with the roots of the whole crypto idea, which grew out of a movement called cypherpunk. In the late 1970s, punk rock musicians and their fans didn't know what they wanted, but they knew how to get it, and that was through anarchy. The punk movement was a rebellion against any authority. Now, with these roots, the cypherpunk movement began with a mailing list in 1992 and culminated a year later with the Cypherpunk Manifesto written by Eric Hughes. The cypherpunks advocated the use of cryptography and privacy-enhancing technologies to bring about social change. The principles behind the Cypherpunk Manifesto: privacy, anonymity, preventing censorship, hiding the act of hiding, are the cornerstones of the Bitcoin wallpaper written in 2009 and still to this day remain the guiding principles of the entire crypto community. When Bitcoin was launched in 2010, following the white paper, it had the ambition to become the alternative currency, independent of any government or central regulation. A purely democratic monetary system constrained only by mathematical algorithms. They referred to the existing currencies as fiat, which means created by decree, while Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies are instead created by an algorithm. Well, Bitcoin never caught on as a currency. Well, maybe because it's highly volatile, which makes it unsuitable for that role. On May 22, 2010, the first exchange of Bitcoin for real money, for real goods, took place. 10,000 Bitcoins were exchanged for 2 large pizzas. In today's money, these pizzas would be worth $15 billion each. As you will hear somewhere in some other talk today, Bitcoin may become the reserve asset of the world, but it's hard to imagine that people would routinely transact in everyday life with bitcoins. This fact led to search for solutions on how crypto balances could become a useful means of payment. Announced back in 2012, the first stablecoins, crypto balances that maintain a fixed peg to a fiat currencies, appeared in mid-2014. The best known of this is Tether. Initially, stablecoins held reserves in the peg currencies, but later on, crypto-based stablecoins appeared and the development culminated in 2018 with the so-called algorithmic stablecoins, which essentially hold no reserves. The most prominent case of an algorithmic stablecoin is Terra USD, which was created in 2018 by Kwon Do, the self-proclaimed king of lunatics, as the Terra was backed by another cryptocurrency, Luna. The Terra Luna story is highly ironic for the crypto community, as the algorithmic mechanism with the issuance and redemption of Luna to stabilize Terra makes it the ultimate fiat currency. Terra only has value because the king of lunatics says so, something even the most powerful ancient rulers could only dream of. The algorithm was there in place just to give an illusion of credibility and trust. When the trust was suddenly broken in early May 2022, the value of Terra and Luna evaporated literally overnight, causing investors to lose billions of real, actual dollars. Well, skeptics will say that no amount of regulation can prevent such losses, but they may be right. But at least in a regulated market, such things don't happen suddenly overnight. But the goal of regulation goes far beyond protecting investors from excessive losses. The world doesn't want a parallel currency system that circumvents sanctions imposed on war criminals or dictators. Even though it's probably impossible to stop organized crime, we certainly don't want to make it easy for criminals to operate. The crypto markets have implemented the Know Your Customer procedures, but to effectively impose sanctions and stop the criminals requires far more sophisticated anti-money laundering procedures that are standard in the contemporary financial industry. So, how should regulators approach fintechs and crypto markets? Or rather, how should these alternative financial markets approach the regulators? A few years ago, there was a big discussion about the nature of cryptocurrencies and which regulators should be responsible for regulating them. Since then, the diversity of these assets has been recognized, and with it, the need for diverse regulation. Most pressing, for the reasons already mentioned, is the need for monetary regulation. Central banks are already moving towards this, although it is still a little bit unclear how they will accomplish these goals. Simply treating everyone who uses cryptocurrencies as a criminal is definitely an excessive measure that would break everything, even though it could be effective. You don't really want to use the innovative potential of the blockchain technology that underlies the crypto world, so we should approach regulation carefully. The crypto world and fintechs in general, to become mainstream and suitable for ordinary investors, they must adopt a similar kind of regulation that is today the gold standard for traditional finance. Some may see this as an attack to the very soul of the cryptocurrencies, but others will see it as inevitable evolution and development. The monetary and financial system has come a long way since the gold and silver coins of ancient times. Even without crypto, today we can make payments in different currencies by simply using our smartphone or even our smartwatches. We can invest online in overseas markets. Regulation is there in place to allow us to do all this while still remaining reasonably safe. Many different things may have a place in today's financial systems, but anarchy definitely isn't one of them. Trust will always remain the essence of any financial system, and to secure trust, evolution is always better than revolution. Thank you for your attention.